Welcome again. Today is 26th of October, and we will be talking about motivation today for the PSGN community. We have participants from all around the world, from Nigeria, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh. These are just some countries that I can remember, and a wide range of grades, grade levels, and subject teachers as well. Don't worry about taking notes. I will be sharing this recording with you. For audio quality, I have muted everyone. But if you would like to contribute, please feel free to type in the chat and raise your hand. So, motivation is the topic today. I'm going to share some basic ideas about motivation, and I'll start the discussion, and I would like you to contribute and share your best practices throughout the session, because you have a wide range of experience, and I'm sure you have lots of ideas as well. And one of the most important aspects of becoming a teacher is learning how to motivate our students. It's also one of the most important. Students who are not motivated will not learn effectively. They won't retain information, they won't participate. Some of them may even become disruptive. And students may be unmotivated for a variety of reasons. First of all, I'd like to ask you, why do you think our students might be unmotivated? So, what can be the reason? What causes lack of motivation? What do you think? You can type in the chat, and you can also speak. Idowu, would you like to speak? You can unmute your microphone.
Okay, thank you for that question. I think the first thing first, when students are not motivated to learn, I think it may start from the teacher itself. There is a stimulation which you give to learners, and you probably engage them to learn. I think just the way you walk into classroom, your leading, your starter, or the icebreakers will motivate the learners if today is going to be a nice class. That's what I think.
That's a great point. Yes, definitely. Our posture, our positive energy, and even smile helps our students motivate, don't you think?
Yes, I
And
think
we
so.
have
I think so.
Manal says lack of interest in subject. Sometimes class is not student-centered. Connection with teachers. Shibar says, my opinion is that teacher need to be motivated. Absolutely, we'll talk about teacher motivation throughout this session as well. Class environment. Mary, what exactly do you mean by class environment? Can you give some examples, please? Because we'll also talk about this.
Like they are comfortable enough in the classroom, their sitting arrangement, probably if that's too hot, too cold inside the classroom, or maybe they are not understanding what the teacher is saying in the class. Maybe they do not understand the language the teacher is communicating with them. So this could be the reason.
Yes, absolutely. These are great points. Do you see there are really lots of factors affecting motivation? So we need to consider all of these. It's not always easy, of course, but it's always a good idea to have these in mind. It always says hangover from the previous session list. I totally agree with you. How tired students are. They need a warmer.
Hello, everybody.
Ikra says teachers are speaking more than taking the input from the students. Teacher talking time. Hello, who is speaking? Sakina.
Hello. Yeah, this is Shabir.
Shabir. Yes, Shabir.
Shabir Ahmed. Hi, everybody who are listening and watching this. I'm Shabir Ahmed from Al Wadi International School, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Well, for the question you have asked about what makes a reason, what are the reasons for the children to be get motivated. As I too agree with Ernest Kelson, if I spell it wrong, if I pronounce it correct, I do agree with him what he says. Like the motivation comes from the teacher first. Well, if you are motivated, then you can motivate the others, right? So I do believe that a teacher needs to have passion. Uh, Thereby he motivates the learners too. Well, I do believe that we need to have a session, well, to how to motivate the teachers itself, rather than before going to how to motivate the learners. We need to be first motivated so that we can motivate the children too. So this is what my point is. I'll give my contribution further coming in the video. Thank you.
Thank you, Shabir. That's a
You're
valid
welcome.
point. I totally agree with you. Of course, sometimes we may lose our motivation. We have ups and downs, but we need to we shouldn't give up, right? That's the point. And also, it's great to have nearly 30 participants today. That means we have 30 motivated teachers in this session. So that's really great to be with motivated
Nice
Excuse
to hear
me.
that.
teachers.
I wanted to add another point.
Sure.
I think students may not be motivated to. I think in a classroom wherein you may have some learners who have or require special educational need. I think it's the place for the teacher or the tutor to make those students to feel welcome, to feel not cut off from the classroom, and to have their own independent way of learning, like engage them into the classroom. So when you do that, they all are motivated and they feel like one. Okay, yeah, we are ready for lessons. Yeah.
Great
And
point.
they're also motivated when they are, they can relate the knowledge that you are providing them in the classroom with the real world or with their real life experiences. So they can be motivated in that way as well. So I guess teachers are supposed to be quite active and relate whatever they are doing in the classroom with the real world problems.
Hmm. Excellent points, really. We will touch upon all of these in detail, and I will be asking you to give examples as well. So let's move on. And if you have an idea, just don't forget you will have a chance to contribute in the following slides as well. As Ernest has just said about readiness, effective teachers are the facilitators, right? So motivation, as we talk, motivation and learning affect one another. As students learn and become more skillful, they get more motivated to continue to learn. So we need to constantly search for ways to interact and engage with our learners. And this can be done by planning the lessons according to the needs of our students. And before that, we need to find out the needs of our students. How can we find out the needs of our students? Think about that. And by also giving them some space and creating a positive environment. Also,
Okay.
yeah, Ernest.
I think let me answer that. I think finding out the needs of students, I may take for my own case, we have what we call learning styles. So if you know the learning styles of your learners, you equally adapt it or try to match it with your teaching style. So you create a scene wherein your teaching style matches with that of the learning style. So in all the same, you're going to do a differentiation in class. So I think that will help you more to know the strengths and the the weaknesses of each learner.
Yes, you also talked about special needs, just in the previous slide, Ernest, and learning styles. These are all very important issues, but how do you find out the learning styles of your students? By using a survey or by talking to them, by having a,
Okay, yeah, we I think to me I would suggest a survey. We carry out a survey, we give it around, and the answer to questions, maybe according to their level.
Hello?
Okay, just a second. I will.
Hello?
Yes.
All right. Sometimes when you're trying to motivate your students, you know, you need to take into consideration the last perception of the class or the lesson they had previously, and you need to combine that with the feedback they gave while you were leaving the class or while you were trying to mark their scripts or exercise book. Then that will give you an idea of what area do you need to motivate them and how do you sustain the motivation before they will accept you and whatever you have to teach.
Yes, so by even in the break times, I think if we spend some time with our students by observing them during the lesson, we can have an idea about their needs, expectations, maybe fears, and in general how they would like to, what kinds of activities are they interested.
Mm-hmm.
It's we should perhaps have some sessions to get to know them. As Ernest mentioned, maybe a survey at the beginning of the lesson. Maybe we can ask them to write a letter about themselves, so this would give us an idea about their needs as well. Maybe you can talk about your best practices.
Yeah, probably we can conduct an activity in the class, different kind of activities that can tell us that which student is good at speaking, who's good, more kinesthetic, who's who's interested in hands-on activities. So that's how we can tap their multiple intelligences. So by grouping them into different groups and figuring out that who is good at what.
Yes, we can find out their strengths. You mean, Sakina, right? By
Yes.
observing them. Okay. So as you have already mentioned, what keeps students motivated is also a motivated teacher. We talked about this briefly. This is extremely important, don't you think? If you have a passion for teaching, then your students are more likely to show a passion for learning. However, I'm afraid it also works the other way around. If you don't really care about teaching, or if you are not so enthusiastic, your students won't be so enthusiastic about learning as well. So what can we do to show our motivation? Or my next question to you, what are the characteristics of a motivated teacher? How would you define a motivated teacher? Can you share your ideas? Idowu.
A motivated teacher should be well equipped, should have good knowledge
Hello?
about the subject herself or himself, and can enter the class quite enthusiastically, not like an active one, not the lazy one, and should be smiling.
Yes, and a motivated teacher should encourage his or her students. I think that is the key point.
How can we encourage them?
Okay, I may begin to contribute to that. I think a motivational teacher, first thing, should be very caring. Yeah, caring should be the watchword. I think caring in all aspects, and should be very punctual and mindful about his job description.
Yes, you also Hameda also mentioned punctual.
Well, I would like
Masoma.
I'd like to contribute here.
Okay, so we need to contribute one by one. So I'm going to ask you, if you raise your hand, I will ask you to contribute. So Idowu is raising hand. Would you like to continue, Idowu?
Yes. All right. First thing that a motivated teacher needs to do is that he needs to arrive to the class on time. You understand? When they see that, and you know, smile is contagious. You enter the class with that, you're assuming smile. No, there's a way they are young people. There's a way they will be attracted to whatever you want to say. You know, when they have confidence in you, they will be able to have confidence in whatever you need to dish out to them. I see that one very important for a motivated teacher.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Mariam, what do you think?
I am Mariam, and I want to contribute. You was asking about how to encourage students. So I think that it is a one way to encourage students that how can I teach them that this is your responsibility, that you have to be involved in your classrooms, and your participation should be very good and very active in the class. So encourage means that what I was saying this.
Okay, great points. Thank you, Mariam.
Thank you.
Gertrude?
Hi, I would like to contribute something. As I'm a science teacher, so every time when I'm carrying something new in my hand to show it to my students, they're always motivated to see that what new they are going to learn today. So if I, carry out certain things, like if I'm carrying a pot of potted plant, or if I'm carrying beakers with me, or a microscope to the classroom, or a bread with mold on it. So they are really excited about it, that what we are going to learn or see today, what new is there.
Yes, definitely. These are all excellent examples. Really, thank you very much for sharing your unique experiences here. I'd like to find out more of your ideas.
Thank you very much. I'm back again. So as you're talking about the characteristics of a motivated teacher, a teacher needs to be motivated incentrically, as we have two types of motivation, incentric and eccentric. So the one who is incentric, who is motivated by himself, would have a great impact on the students. He can motivate in a very effective way. So we need to sort out the reasons why a teacher is not motivated. What are the barriers? What makes him to be not too motivated? Once he's motivated, as one of the participants was saying, it's contagious. That's very true. If you have energy, you love things, then obviously the listeners, the one who are participants there, they too love and enjoy things. So I strongly believe that teacher need to be motivated, eccentric, and we need to sort out the barriers. What are the reasons why he's not getting motivated? And basically we need to have passion for it. A teacher who has passion will definitely be motivated every time, so there is no need for him to somebody to tell him. So I strongly believe that this is all, teaching is all about a passion, the passion, love for it. You are willingly doing this. It must be your choice rather than by chance you're a teacher. You need to be a teacher by choice. Is teaching is your choice and you have the passion. And I believe motivation is everything a teacher can do, and instill those things in the students. That's what I believe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
But
you.
I would just like to add up a little thing, that a teacher is supposed to be motivated, but that motivation has to be transferred to the learners. You need to encourage them in a way so they are motivated as well.
Excellent points. So we will have more more ideas. We'll be sharing our ideas in the following slides as well. But before that, I'd like to show you a video of a teacher. This is from a famous movie, and this is only some one section of this movie. We won't watch whole section, but this teacher is teaching economics, and I'd like to stop sharing, and I will be playing this video, and I would like you to comment on this teacher's teaching style, or what advice would you give. So let me share my screen again this time. Okay. Okay. Can you all see the teacher on the screen? Because I will play the video. If you can all see.
Yes, I can quite see. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
he's visible.
Okay, so watch this teacher and tell me what the problem is with this teacher's teaching style, and do you think are his students motivated? So what the problem is, we'll discuss in a minute.
The Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in effort to alleviate the effects of the Great Depression, passed the tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government. Did it work? Anyone know the effects? It did not work, and the United States sank deeper into the Great Depression. Today, we have a similar debate over this. Anyone know what this is, class? Anyone? Anyone? Anyone seen this before? The Laffer curve. Anyone know what this says? It says that at this point on the revenue curve, if you look at exactly the same amount of revenue, anyone know what called this in 1980? Anyone? Something DOO economics. Voodoo economics. Anyone? Anyone?
So you've seen the teacher, an economics teacher, you may not hear what he's talking about, but just by your observations, what do you think? Is he an engaging teacher? What kind of problems can you observe by looking at his students' behavior?
It seems that he's talking to himself.
Yeah,
very
he's not
true.
clear. He's not loud enough to be heard by everyone in the classroom. And
It's like that,
his tone is monotonous. No
He's asking
variation in the tone
questions.
too. Yeah.
He's
yeah, and
asking
it's
questions and then
teacher-centered
asking
class, I think.
So, okay, so we'll again speak one by one because otherwise we'll have a chaos here. Okay, I'd like to ask some newcomers to speak.
Hello?
Who is speaking?
It's me, Samandeep Kaur.
Someone.
Yeah.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, he was very he was even himself not interested in the topic, and he was just standing at one place, not moving his hands, just with a straight face, and he was he himself, he made the topic so boring. It was not edible, but he was saying, but he didn't make any effort in teaching, and he himself looked like bored. He himself was not interested, so the students were also, they were not motivated by him.
Okay, thank you
And
so
he
much.
didn't use any other things except talking.
I'd like to say something too.
Hello, Sirin.
One by
Hello.
one, please. One by one. Idowu. Yes.
All right.
Idowu.
Thank you, Sirin. Now, from the
Hello.
I discovered that the teacher, is unmotivated. He's already demotivated, and this thing is contagious. So appearing in the classroom, he has just told, without saying it, that everybody do anything else. You can sleep, you can snore, you can, because I myself as a teacher, I'm not motivated, I'm not passionate about this lesson.
Yes, so our motivation is contagious, as you said. Emmanuel, what about you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, who is speaking?
Yeah, this is Aditola.
Okay, welcome.
Yeah, I noticed something over the course of the lecture, that the lecturer or the teacher does not actually seems to be interested in what the student were doing at the time of his lecture. And the lecture over time, in recent time, I've learned some things through your forum. I've learned the fact that the lecture actually is more of teacher-centered. Because if he's actually student-centered, he would have gotten one way to bring them into the lecture, or to the lesson, for one of them or two, three to talk while the lesson is going on. So it's more of teacher-centered, not student-centered. That's my contribution.
Thank you so much, Aditola. That's a valid point as well.
Can I say something?
Krell, go ahead.
Yeah. I personally feel that this teacher is busy in covering his own syllabus curriculum, and he doesn't care about whether the students are getting it or not. So I think rather covering the syllabus with a fast pace, one should keep this thing in mind, that there is audience who is interested or not interested. So sometimes it does happen that the teacher is a new teacher coming to the class. Students are not familiar, and students probably don't like him. So what that new teacher should do, I think in the very first class, he should not teach. Just go there, establish a kind of connection with the student. So as we don't see connection there, there can be one or two reasons. Maybe this teacher is a new one to the class, students are not familiar, or maybe a student don't like him at all. He looks very tired. Well, humans do have problems too, right? What if a teacher who is having a lot of trouble, a lot of problem, maybe family problems or whatever? So I think in that case, he should take a day off if he is not fresh, so that somebody can take the picture there instead of going to the class and or with all the problems. So teachers are the biggest actors, I would say, right? They should keep their problems at the side. When they go to the class, they should look fresh. They should be enthusiastic about whatever they have to teach, so that they should be passionate about their own teaching. So that passion is not visible there. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Excellent point. Thanks you so much. You just summarized the key ingredient.
And it seems to be like that this is teacher-centered class. This is not student-centered class. This is teacher-centered class. This is not student-centered class. There is no activity. There is nothing like that students can be motivated and participating there. So this is I think that's why the class is boring.
Excellent point. Thank you, Mariam. So I think
add?
okay, just one point. We will be working in groups in the next slides. Okay, so I would like to put you in different rooms, in the breakout rooms. We'll have group work now, and on each group there will be 4 people or 5 people. And I'd like you to share your top tips for creating a motivating learning environment. I'll give you 10 minutes. You will discuss, you can turn on your microphone and have a small group discussion. And after 10 minutes, I'll bring you all into this main room, and I'd like one of you from each group to share your top tips that you discussed with your group members in the main room. All right, is that clear for everyone? So I will be creating breakout rooms, and there will be 4 to 5 people in each room, and I'd like everybody to discuss your top tips for creating a motivating learning environment. How do you motivate your students? Have a small group discussion, and after 10 minutes, you will come back here and you will share your top tips. So you need a spokesperson for this. So, are you ready for the group work? I will be moving around.
Yes, we are ready.
Yes.
Okay.
How do you know which group we are in?
You will be directed to the groups automatically. So you will be directed to the groups automatically by the system. Randomly, you will be assigned to a group, okay? And I will be moving from one group to another to make sure everything works well. And if you have any questions, you will find me at some point. Okay, see you in the breakout rooms. Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to the main room.
Thank you.
I would really like to hear your top tips. So
yes,
start with Ernest. Ernest, would you like to start by sharing your top tips from your group because you're raising hands?
Okay, I think I was talking to my group member. I think one of my top tips for creating a motivation or an environment for learning, I think first is to maybe set up a platform wherein the students are the ones or maybe doing most of the tasks or carrying out the task in class, and then maybe creating or giving reward to students without refusing any answer, whether right or wrong. You put it on the board, and you allow the students to freely discuss. And if you notice a mistake and something, you jot it down, and when after they're done with the task, you promote or you do what we call feedback. You do more feedback to get their level of assessment or assessing themselves, and you promote more of peer assessment. So I think that's maybe one of the top tips we discuss in the group.
Great tips, thank you. Yes, peer assessments is really very effective, because especially when they hear feedback from their peers, it's more effective with teenagers or young adults. What about Adebimpe? Adebimpe, would you like to summarize?
All right. Okay. In our group, we came up with the fact that as a teacher, you should come into the class prepared. Okay, with a smiling face, being dynamic. Okay, and we should, as a teacher, you should come in your best and be ready to change, because sometimes in the class, when the lesson is going on, you might just need to switch depending on the atmosphere and depending on the reception. Okay, you might just need to switch and do some new things that we make sure that all the students, all the learners are carried along. That is very key. Your appearance as a teacher, your disposition as a teacher is very important in creating a motivating learning environment.
Thank you so much, Adebimpe. Excellent points. What about always? What do you think? What are your tips?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. I discussed with Saba, I guess. We agreed that there are many things that we can make build the motivation inside the classroom. The most important thing to me is being a dynamic teacher. You should not be just standing and delivering the knowledge like machine. You should be trying your best to be everywhere in the class all the time, trying to get closer to your students, try to get their attention. One time you are in the front of the class, another time you might be at the back. In 2 minutes you go to the right-hand side of the class. So you should be everywhere in the class. Secondly, you should be involving your students in the teaching process. It's not just a teacher who should be the only one who runs the show. Students also should be involved. You might ask one of the students to come on and explain to the students what he understood from the lesson. And using that student, you can make everyone also participate when you ask everybody also to say or to give their opinions of what he has just explained. Another point also, putting games and activities inside the classroom, because especially when you're teaching the low grades students, you need to be sure that everyone is enjoying the class. And by the way, there are a lot of games these days that you can use while you are teaching. You can teach your lesson while they are playing these games. Also, you can ask questions, because asking questions is very important strategy that teachers can use inside the classroom. First of all, you can check their understanding. Also, you can let them be all involved in your teaching process. There are a lot of other points we agreed about, but I will just say that it's enough for me to mention these points for now.
Excellent points. Thank you, always. These are really, really very important issues, and I think you did a great job in your group. So anybody else who would like to contribute?
I would like to contribute here.
My group, hello.
Okay. Just raise your hand, please, so I can understand.
Hello.
Coach Ahmed, I haven't heard from you in this session. Please go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to mention recognition is one key. Whenever you recognize them for their efforts, they always feel encouraged to keep going, to keep doing it. So they stay motivated. And also give examples. Use what they like, and use if they like sports, if they like hobbies, cars, if they like running, you use examples in your course to motivate them, just to keep them engaged.
Yes.
That's all.
Two very important points. Thank you so much, Ahmed.
May I share now?
Sakina.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, we just came up to a point that motivating this generation is not an easy task. Actually, they are really smart, and we need to be even smarter than them to motivate them. So I guess a teacher is supposed to be very well prepared before he or she enters the class. They should have a complete command on the subject and the topic they have to cover that day. Their body language, their appearance actually have a great impact on the students. Students should be engaged in activities, and medals and rewards are really, really important for them. And I guess we have discussed a couple of activities in the group, which I guess everyone liked them a lot, and they wanted to share them. By making students the in charge of the classroom, and they teach each other. And later on, teachers should be asking questions related to what they have discussed about the topic. So making them in charge and keeping an eye on them, that whether they are going on a right track, can motivate them a lot.
Making them in charge, keeping an eye on them.
That's a good technique. Thank you, Sakina. What about
the,
Oluchi, please.
Okay, for me, I believe the top tip for teaching is to be personal with the pupils. For example, I teach the lower grades, and if you don't interact personally with them, you can't motivate them. You need to know their names, you need to ask individual questions, and you need to assure them that there will be praises at the end of the questions or the end of the activities that the child will engage in. And another one is when you are teaching them, you have to have a contact with them, facial contact and body movements too. That will make the child to be straightforward and listen when the class is going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. These are also great tips, Oluchi. And Shabir.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to make a very important point here. Like the rap, one of our one of our team said this. We had Ikra and Aditola. The point is here the rapport with the students. When you're in a classroom environment is a formal type of environment, isn't that? So students have less chance to open up with you with their interest. Well, what you can do is you can have an informal interaction with them, like being in cafeteria or being in a playground where they open up by themselves and you come to know what their interests are. When you are connected with them, with their interest, they are more motivated and they are more keen to learning. And that's the second point. The first point, as I was being mentioning from the beginning of this session, like teacher by himself be motivated. Well, he has a passion for the profession, what he's doing with. So that is a very key to the motivation itself. So when he himself is motivated, he can motivate and create an environment where it is a very lively environment, which is highly motivated. And this is the crux of all things. And well, I would like to finally give a suggestion or here, like as we have been seeing this, we had always the sessions and events on motivating the learners. Well, as we believe, like when you are motivated, you motivate others. So we need to have sessions for teachers, like sessions like motivating the teachers. So if it then can be a session, like a module like this, I'll be really thankful. And thanks a lot for giving me opportunity many times you made me to speak. That's really nice of you. And all the people who are listening and spoke all the good points, I really appreciate their points. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shabir. Thank you for your valuable ideas. And one last contribution from Basma Zavin. So please go ahead, Basma.
Yes, can I talk now?
Yes, sure.
Okay. We discussed about our motivation and learning environment. It has to be safe, and we have to encourage our students to participate even if they are doing some mistakes. We can accept that and support them to give some mistakes and accept it, and how to guide them to the discussion that we need, and give them some space to talk about their personal experiments or personal life examples that they can go through. And also we can keep asking them about how do you feel about our lesson today. Ask them to involve in our discussions and also value their work. It's very important to feel that they are encouraged and supported and also be valued to do their work. Yes, that's all.
These are really key points. I like the idea of having feedback from our students, and also you're saying giving them an opportunity to talk about their lives. And sometimes students would like to find out about teachers' lives, right? This also motivates them. They are interested in teachers' lives as well. So having a conversation, maybe telling a story, what happened yesterday in your lives.
Personal situations.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Basma. So I'm going to continue by summarizing my points, okay? These are all a summary of what you have already shared. It's just some ideas from me, and some of you all have already mentioned all of these, but just to summarize and wrap up our session. First of all, as you have already mentioned, classroom arrangement is very important. So we should, first of all, know our students' names and use their names as often as possible. If possible, set your room in U-shape to encourage interaction among your students. Move around the room as you teach. Be expressive, smile. Plan around 15-20 minutes cycles. Students have difficulty maintaining attention after a longer period of time, and involve your students in your teaching. Ask for feedback. Maintain eye contact and move around your students as you interact with them. And nod your head to show that you are listening to them. Next, this is actually, you might be familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is for classroom contexts. And as you can see, the needs are different in the classroom. So first of all, the basic needs, the room temperature, lighting is important. And then having ownership and being responsible. And self-realization, self-actualization is one of the most important needs for students, so we should take this into consideration as well. You may not have these fancy colors in your classroom or chairs, but it would be a good idea to involve group work, a variety of activities in our lessons to motivate them. So encouraging our students is very important. So students look to teachers for approval and positive reinforcement, and they are more likely to be enthusiastic about learning if they feel their work is recognized and valued. We should encourage open communication and free thinking with our students to make them feel they're important. And we should be enthusiastic, as you have already mentioned. Praise your students often and recognize them for their contributions. If your classroom is a friendly place where your students feel heard and respected, they will be more eager to learn. We'll talk about feedback in another slides, but it's also important to give your students a chance to feel that they are able to express themselves. So get them involved. They should have an opportunity to be successful. Give them tasks where they can see the results of their effort. That feeling of, yeah, I did it, the aha feeling will help them feel more motivated. It's very important to make your classroom activities memorable. Use games and competitions. Everybody loves competitions, and it gives students an opportunity to interact with each other and have fun and learn at the same time. Draw connections to real life. So when will I ever need this? This question is often heard in the classroom, and this indicates that a student, if a student is not engaged, or if a student believes that what they are learning is not important, they won't want to learn. So it's important to demonstrate how the subject relates to them. If you are teaching mathematics, take some time to give them examples about how they will use this in real life. Really amaze them by telling them they might use this in the future or in their career. Maybe we can invite some guest speakers or show them that a subject is used in real life, so they will feel excited about it and they will be more motivated. Give feedback and offer chances to improve. This is very important. So this is actually a very critical issue, because giving them feedback is important, but general feedback, research states that general feedback doesn't really work well. So instead of just saying good work, well done, we should give our students specific feedback about how they have done or what needs to be improved. So for example, students who struggle with classwork can sometimes feel frustrated and get down to themselves, or they may lose their motivation. So it's critical that we need to help students to learn exactly where they went wrong and how they can improve next time, and figuring out the method to get our students some specific techniques about how they can improve their skills is extremely important. And we should also track their progress, and show them how they can assess themselves as well. Give students a sense of control. So while guidance from a teacher is important, allowing your students to have some choice and control over what happens in the classroom is actually one of the best ways to keep them engaged. For example, allowing your students to choose the type of assignments they do, or which problems to work on, or which games to play, would give them some ownership, and they may feel more motivated. Give clear instructions. So when setting a task, be clear and allow your students time to prepare first and ask you any questions. So there is nothing more frustrating for them than not being able to perform well because they didn't understand the task. This is very important for students. So they need to have a clear idea of what they are supposed to do and what they are expected to do by the end of the lesson. Vary the social dynamics. So ask students to work in pairs, in groups, get them out of their seats and moving, and ask them to change partners regularly to keep your students' attention, set a variety of engaging, meaningful activities, and create a friendly atmosphere where they can freely ask questions, or you can celebrate mistakes as well. So as you have already mentioned, mistakes are very important. Finally, children fulfill the expectations that adults around them communicate. So this doesn't mean that every student will score 100s. It means that if you communicate to a child that she or he is a failure, he or she will fail. If you communicate to that same child that he or she will succeed, you will often find out that is the outcome. So with every opportunity, we should encourage our students that they are making progress, and point out to them that the areas that you feel they make progress or that they need improvement. For areas in which a student struggles, try to portray a picture of what success looks like and support them. Encouraging your students to visualize their success will aid them in accomplishing those goals, and then you will be partners collaborating with your students to be successful. So these are just some summaries from my end, but I think this has been a very efficient session full of great ideas. I'm really very pleased to meet motivated teachers all around the world. So thank you so much for attending, for participating, and for sharing your ideas. I really enjoy taking part in conversations with you. So I really appreciate your time and amazing ideas. So have a great weekend. Enjoy. I think you deserve lovely.
You
Have a
too.
lovely morning, evening,
Thank
afternoon,
you.
wherever you are.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very
Thank you a
much,
lot.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Future as well. In
Thank
the
you.
future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was
Bye.
wonderful. Yeah. Bye bye.
Thank
It was
you.
wonderful. I enjoyed too.
Bye bye.
Thank
I
you
wish I
so
could
much.
have this.
Thank
I
you
learned
Wish
a
I
very
lot.
could
much.
have
Thank
this
you.
every
Valuable
week.
ideas with us.
If I could have this every week, then I'll be a
All
good
the
teacher
best.
by then.
Thank you.
Really.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 See you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 Bye,
Wow.
everyone.
Bye. Bye. We love
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye.
Allah.
So